Warnings. We encounter them daily. Accident ahead. Heat advisory. Take only as directed. Don't make me have to tell you again. But what if the first warning was the only warning that you got? Meth. Not even once. Would you proceed with caution? I didn't. I've spent the past 13 years getting to know everything there is to know about crystal meth. 3 years of my knowledge came from research, and the prior 10 came from experience. Crystal meth is a highly addictive drug that negatively affects our environment, its users, and its users' families. According to Nicholas L. Parsons' book, Meth Mania, A History of Methamphetamine, crystal meth is a highly addictive stimulant that can be made virtually anywhere with common household ingredients. Crystal meth can be made in a kitchen, in a shed, it can be made in the trunk of your car, in this room, or even in the woods. According to this interactive map, there was once a meth lab less than half of a mile away from this very location, and there have been 823 meth labs in the state of Mississippi. Crystal meth is poison. It is composed of things that you would never consider putting in your body, such as antifreeze, lantern fuel, pesticides, brake fluid, acetone, paint thinner, drain cleaner, among other things. According to the Foundation for a Drug-Free World's website, for every pound of crystal meth created, 6 pounds of hazardous waste is produced. This hazardous waste is not properly disposed of, and it seeps into our groundwater and poses a threat to anyone who encounters it. Crystal meth can be smoked, snorted, shot up, or ingested, and each route produces a different high for its user. A physical tolerance begins within minutes of its first use. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, meth releases very high levels of dopamine into our reward circuit, training our brain to repeat this pleasurable activity. The initial rush of euphoria felt from the first hit of meth is almost like skydiving. When you jump out of the plane, you realize you have a faulty parachute. Users immediately have an overwhelming sense of euphoria, pleasure, energy, and confidence. The first time I used meth, I spent days in an abandoned house with no electricity, no water, no food, no shower, no problem. But after that initial high wears off, users are left with a severe come down that consists of depression, hopelessness, and body aches. It was at this point that I realized that this drug was not for me. But I had jumped out of a plane with a faulty parachute, and the only way that I could make myself feel better was to get high again. After several days of no sleep, users enter what is referred to as the tweaking stage. According to the Foundation for a Drug-Free World's pamphlet titled The Truth About Crystal Meth, this is when a meth user is considered the most dangerous. Users can become paranoid, hostile, detached from reality, have aggression, and delusions. They may begin to grind their teeth, pick holes into their flesh, have uncontrollable movements, and high levels of anxiety. Oftentimes, users will begin to take apart electronics and vehicles. And at this point, there is no perception of time, and it is not uncommon to see users cutting their grass or attempting home improvements in the middle of the night. Crystal meth accounts for more drug offenses than any other drug in the United States. According to research from the United States Sentencing Commission at ussc.gov, in 2016, methamphetamine produced more offenses than any other drug in 27 of our 50 states. By 2017, that number had increased to 30 of our 50 states. Faces of Meth was a project created by a deputy at the Multnomah County Sheriff's Department in Oregon to help raise awareness of the deterioration that meth can have on the body. Have you ever thought to yourself, that is someone's son, someone's father, someone's daughter, someone's mother? Have you ever thought to yourself, that face of meth has a family somewhere? And have you ever thought, what must that family be feeling? On January 3rd, 2006, I took my first hit of crystal meth. After only using the drug for binges for months at a time, I'd convinced myself that I would not become addicted to this drug, and I even quit in 2012, while I was pregnant with my child. Mistaken that I had more control over this drug than it had over me, I decided to use again in March of 2013. From that moment on, I used over a gram of crystal meth every single day for the next 3 years, 4 months, and 23 days. As a former face of crystal meth, I can tell you what my family felt. For nearly 7 years, my parents grieved over the loss of my life while I was alive and using drugs. My mother told me, quote, "It was like you had died, but we knew that you were alive, which made the pain even worse because we thought that every knock at our door would be a sheriff coming to let us know that you were dead." During this time, my children were scattered in different homes, being raised by different people. Faces of meth can often be misleading because meth affects more people than just its users. These are just a few of the faces that my meth use affected. Today I've discussed how crystal meth is a highly addictive drug that negatively affects our environment, its users, and users' families. But a faulty parachute does not always mean that the jumper is going to die. It just means that they have to be willing to scream loud enough for help and fight for their lives. If you saw someone plummeting to their death, what would you do to help?